Well, this multi-front regional war, Iran is at the heart of it. It funds Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, a bunch of terror groups. How do you see the next stage of this war and what Israel will do to respond to Iran's missile assault? Will they hit those nuclear targets?
So I think you said it exactly, Rita. The next stage in this is the Israeli response. I do believe Iran will be heavily targeted by Israel. I suspect, I have no basis for knowing anything specific, but I suspect that both the energy installations, Iran operates mostly out of one port. 90% of Iranian petroleum goes to China, but it's only 10% of China's needs. I think Israel will target that. And Israel will do its best to dismantle components or perhaps the entirety of the nuclear architecture of Iran, which it needs U.S. munitions and collaboration with. So I do think that's happening. I suspect it's going to happen before the election. And if there is some poetry to the kind of justice that Israel deserves, Iran has imperiled the entire region, not just Israel, then that strike will probably happen on the anniversary on the Jewish calendar of October 7th, which is Simchat Torah, the holiday where Jewish people observe completing reading the Torah. And that's around October 25th. That's my guess. Now, both Republicans and Democrats are going to try and claim political capital from that strike. Kamala Harris will try and... Yes, sorry, please.
I was going to say, but how can the Democrats claim any political capital from that strike when the Biden-Harris administration has been consistently two-faced? They told Israel, do not go into Rafah, which is, of course, where many hostages were and where Sinwar was ultimately found. In the last few hours, there has been news of a document leak that's shown up on Telegram of Israeli documents that were marked Five Eyes only. It seems to me that the White House at the moment has a very conflicted attitude when it comes to taking the fight to Iran.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and I'm glad you mentioned the document leak, which is very shocking. It means that there are some pro-Iran or pro-Islamist individuals who are disseminating that kind of information. I believe the information is describing exercises, military exercises Israel may be undertaking in preparation for a strike back. The current administration is desperately trying to win an election, so I think all bets are off, and they will spin anything they can, whether or not it's based in reality. The Republicans also, who have shown very much stauncher support for Israel throughout this, though they aren't in the position of responsibility for governing at the moment, will see it as a win for themselves. What I think both parties are going to face, let's say we have a new president after the election, is that this conflict is now, I see it going on not only for years, but potentially over decades. And we in the West have not definitively confronted this. Iran is not only the #1 consumer of Russian military strategy, the #1 exporter of military extremism around the world. It has also completely shackled oil-rich federal Iraq, where Hashd al-Shaabi, the Shia Iranian army, is actually more heavily armed and more powerful than the Iraqi army. So if we dismantle the crown jewels of Iran, we now are faced with what are we going to do about Iraq? And then don't forget Lebanon. Everyone is circling Lebanon, whereas Israel has quite appropriately gone after Hezbollah and now is in a ground invasion. You can see France taking this bizarre position of offering to negotiate with Iran on Lebanon's behalf, denying Lebanese sovereignty, which was astonishing. And at the same time, Recep Erdogan in Turkey is also trying to insert himself and come to Lebanon's defense to defeat the Zionist enemy. So Lebanon is extremely vulnerable and needs to be strengthened now that Hezbollah potentially could be peeled away from this. So
Qanta, sorry, Qanta, I've got to jump in there. Dr. Qanta Ahmed, always great to see you. Unfortunately, we've run out of time.